Hello, this is a quick training on using the ACT marketing automation to create and send a campaign. This is basic training, so I won't be going into a lot of the extras in this. This is really just to get you jump started into using the marketing automation. This happens to be ACT version 22 web. So if it looks a little bit different from yours, that may be why. But we're going to go ahead and dive in. So there's three basic steps to creating a campaign and sending it. Number one is to gather the content that you want to use in your campaign. So, the text of the email that you want to send, any images that you want to use. If you want to create a campaign that has more than one email in it, you'd want to get all those organized before you start building the campaign to save you time. So you have your content prepared, and then the next thing you want to do is create the group that you're going to actually send the campaign to. So this is required with the actual campaign setup and act is everything everything is attached to the group in terms of who is going to get the email. So if you click on groups on the left side navigation bar, hopefully you might be a little familiar with creating a group. If not, I'll just give you a really quick overview. So this is the groups area. To create a new group, you could just click on groups, new group, and then you would name your group. I just happen to name this one test. And then you would click on add remove contacts. And then you could either have a what's called a dynamic rule, which is here, dynamic members. So if I wanted to change that, I would click edit criteria. And then this is where I would say things like, maybe the ID status equals a certain entry, and then maybe the city is a certain city. So you can build a very specific rule here. For this example, I just wanted the contact records that contain the word test. Or you can, what I call it cherry picking and putting the contacts into your group. And to do that, you would click on contacts. And then here in the web version, you have a search window and you can just start typing. I recommend typing last names of contacts because that's how this is sorted. And then you just start picking the names that you want in the group. You could also click on the letter of the alphabet, and that's going to go to the last names that start with that letter of the alphabet. So I'm not going to spend too much time here on building the groups because we want to dive into using the campaign area. But the important thing is to have your group ready. So that's the group that I want to use. And then the next step is I'm going to scroll down here to marketing automation. So it's on your left side navigation bar and you click on marketing automation. Pardon me. And that's going to bring up the marketing automation area. So you've got a few categories here. One is the campaigns. It defaults into the campaigns area. So this is where any campaigns that are already built and are either active and even the ones that are deactivated, they're all going to be in this section. Once you start building more and more campaigns, you can start searching by keywords, pardon me, or the title of your campaign here. Okay, so that's campaigns. The next area is email templates. So that is where you would build email templates. Now, the interesting thing, and I'm just going to make a note of this here, is really you want to create the email template first. If it's going to be a template that you're going to use either in more than one email or in more than one campaign. For example, this may be where you build if you have, if you want your company logo at the top and then a specific signature at the bottom that you want to be on every email, you would build that email in your email templates library because then you could pull that into your campaigns and change the content there. So, that's where you're controlling the rest of the content. Also, let's say if you're going to be doing a promotion and there's specific links that you want to use as part of that promotion, you might build your basic email template first to pull into the different campaigns. Otherwise, if this is what I call a one-off, this is just one email maybe that you want to get out and use the campaigns to do so, you can actually build the campaign right inside of the campaign area. So don't let that confuse you. I would say for the intent of this video, Just go along with how I'm going to construct this, but know that you could actually build the email template first in the email template library. And your actions button over on the right is your key to really creating any action. So that you would click on actions, new template, and build a template. Okay. Then just very quickly, landing pages are just like that sounds. It's where you're building web pages that people would land on if they clicked a link in one of your emails. You could already have external landing pages that you could include as a link in your email, but if you wanted to build some here, you could. And then this is just like it sounds, web activity. You can have keep a pulse on visitors to your websites through the web activity feature. And then the assets, the shortest description of that is, let's say if you wanted to have PDFs or other kinds of documents that are attached to your campaigns, you would build those or you would set those up in the assets area. And then you have an account management area and an administrative area. So for the purpose of today's video, I want to keep it real short and sweet and just focus on setting up a campaign. So we're going to go back to the campaigns area. And here to set up a campaign, it's pretty straightforward. Just click on Actions, New Campaign. And here you do have an option for the blank campaign, or there are some pre-built type of campaigns that SwiftPage has already put together. And by pre-built, I mean they have a suggested interval between emails and maybe some decision trees included in these pre-built campaigns. So for the purpose of today's video, again, I want to keep it more short and sweet, but I recommend you kind of look through those and get a better idea of what the pre-built campaigns are. The pre-built campaigns do not contain the content, of course, of what you're going to send. It's more or less the structure of a suggestion for what you might want to do for that type of campaign. One thing before we start building our campaign is one thing to know is that this service not only will automatically send out emails out of your ACT database to the group that you designated, but it will also allow some really good fine-tuned follow-up mechanisms. For example, you could have a campaign where day one email A goes out, and then if the recipient either opened the email or clicked a specific link inside the email, they would get email B immediately or one day later. For those recipients that didn't either open the email and obviously not click a link, if they didn't even open email A, then 4 days later, they're going to get email C. Okay, so you can make a very specific sort of follow-up mechanism for yourself or your sales team through using these campaigns. I will go over more advanced use of the campaigns in a different video, but for today, again, we want to stay simple. So we're going to go ahead and create our blank campaign. I'm sorry, we're going to start with a blank campaign. So I'm going to click on Create, and then you just name your campaign. So this is something that's going to make it easy for you to find once you build more and more campaigns. So I'm just going to call this my prospect follow-up campaign. Smart tags is basically a way for you to, once you have many campaigns, if you have some keywords, you could put that in as smart tags and you just put a comma between the keywords. So that's just to help you find your campaign when you start having a long list of them. Groups, so we're going to go and select that group that I built and then scroll down. These are all default settings that are set up in your account. And then also very important, the from email address is going to be defaulted as your My Record email address. So if you want this to if you don't want to have to keep updating this, you would go change that on your ACT My Record. You would change the default email address, and then that was what will populate here. The other note is that the domain, which is basically everything after the @ sign, and including the @ sign, has to be registered with SwiftPage first. Okay, so here I'm just going to click on Create. So now we have a simple campaign. So again, you can use this to send out one email, or you can use it to send out a series of emails and actions based on the recipient's reaction to the emails. But for this video, we're going to keep it real short. So you have a start and an end. And the very first thing here is start and then the timing of the first item, which happens to be an email. We're going to send an email instantly once we activate this campaign. If you want to change that timer, I actually just clicked on the word instant release, and then you have some options here. You can say, I want this, once you activate it, I want it to go out 15 minutes after I activate it, 15 hours, you've got days and weeks here. Also, do not send on weekends is available. You can also specify a certain date and time and a certain time zone. So you can be very specific about when you want this first email to go. And I'm just going to say 0 and hit save, and that goes back to the instant release. So again, you want to find this place here where your mouse turns into a hand and click, and that's where you can change that timing element. Okay, and then the next item here is the action that we want is to send an email. So I'm going to click on that. And then it comes up with edit email content. Pardon me. There's other options here, but today we're focusing on sending an email. And I'll go over these others in a different video. So we're going to edit the email content, hit go. And that brings us into our email writing area. And then you have a few options here. So there is a default sort of setup of an email that will automatically populate. Or if you click on actions, you can select import my templates, which is just like it sounds. If you had already created an email template in your template library, you just select that template and then you import that template. You can also click on import templates, which basically are the system templates. And here we just have the blank one. So we're going to go ahead and import this blank template. It's going to go ahead and populate the area here. And then we basically have this, clean slate, if you will, to start from to build the template. So again, you can either build your templates first in the email template area or just dive right into a campaign and build your template on the fly. And my suggestion again is if, let's say it's just some announcement you want to make. If you're not going to use that same format in the email another time, I would just build it right in campaign instead of going into email templates first. But it's up to you. Again, if it's a template structure that you're going to use often, like maybe again you have the company logo and your signature at the bottom, you'd want to build that as an email template so that you could just pull that in and change the content. Okay, but here we're starting with a blank, and then here is where you start drawing your template. And this is the same functionality. If you went right into email templates, it works the same way. So to build this, first thing we want to do is tell the system what we want, what we want in these blocks, if you will. So it tells you there's no content, drag from the content panel. So here I can select image and just drag it over. And as soon as it says drag it here, then you release it. So the first thing I want at the top is an image. So now I click browse. And if I had already uploaded any images, they would show up in this library. Okay. You also can import images from quite a few areas. If you have, an Instagram, a Flickr, your Google Drive, your Dropbox, it's just great because you can just connect to that and pull your image in from there. You also can search free photos that are connected. So let's say here I want to search for, I'm going to say happy birthday. Maybe I want to create a happy birthday email here. So that's going to come up with some images related to birthdays. We've got a little mix here. It might be better if I just say birthday because I think it was also mixing in happy. So anyway, that's the way that search engine works. And then you can find, some of you have Shutterstock or some of those other image services. So you can download images from that and then just upload them here as well. Okay. So you have some images to work with. I'm going to go ahead and select that and click on import. That's going to import it into this library, and then I'm going to click on insert, which inserts it into my email template. So then I click insert, and here we go. Okay. Now, one little trick is I want to put some text down here below, but you'll notice I'm clicking and I can't really do anything. What you need to do is you need to actually you have to click on this little area over here and then click on page down on your keyboard, and that will allow you to put in the next row. So now I'm going to click a row, select just the row structure and then click on content and then drag in text. Okay. So now it's ready for some text, and so now I can type or copy and paste. If I have a Word document or something else, I can copy and paste from that, and then I put my text in. And then here, of course, you have, you can have different font sizes, different font types, bold, different colored fonts, and you have all of those items available to you. You also can have hot links. So click here for a gift. And then here I could select the word here and click on the link and copy and paste a URL for that. That'll be attached to that word, and then hit OK. So then if they clicked on here, it would take them to wherever that link specified. Okay. So, and then maybe the next area, I want to just put in a signature or another image. So I'm going to go back to rows and explain something here. I so far have just been choosing a straightforward, one line row. If you scroll down, you have all these different constructs for the row, which means you could put in, so for example, if I chose this, I could put in some content here, a picture here, some more content here. So you can put whatever you want to in these blocks. This just sets up a structure for that row. So here I might want to drag this row here. And again, as soon as you see it, you can kind of see it in the background. It says drag it here. I let go. And then I go back over to content and I want some text over on this side. And then here I want an image. So I just pull it and drag it. So here I'm going to put the image in. And it's going to bring you to the library. So I'll insert this. You can also do things like resize the image once it's here. You can link it to a URL, as you see here, and also add some padding. So that's kind of another way of saying resize it. So I added some padding there to make that a little bit smaller. So there's quite a few things that you can do with the image once it's landed there on the email. Okay. Now here I wanted to change this text, so I just click back in here and okay, so whatever you want to type in there. Of course, this is not an email that's going to go to any real people. But anyway, that's the basic way to use these rows and the content to create your email template. And then one thing that is required because the SwiftPage e-marketing service is spam compliant is you do need to have a section at the bottom of your email that has your company name, mailing address, and an unsubscribe button. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and select the rows again and pull it here and release. And again, I had to click over here and hit my page down. So then I get that scroll bar. If you don't do that, you sometimes don't get the scroll bar. So again, you'd click over to the right, then hit page down, and that's what will make that scroll bar appear. So for here, I want to put text in. So I'm going to drag text. And then here, now this is where you can use, they're called merge tags. And the merge tag is where you can insert fields from your database. So let's say you want to use dear at the top of your template, and then the next word you want is to be their salutation. So basically their first name. So you could have dear, and then you would click right to the right of that, and then you would find the salutation field and insert that. So these are going to be all, you can see it says custom fields, and then there's a list in alphabetical order of all the custom fields. And then underneath the custom fields in your ACT database are going to be your ACT standard fields. So let's scroll that. Yeah, so this is, the standard fields in any ACT database: first name, last name, phone, email, address, etc. So custom fields are at the top, ACT standard fields are near the bottom. And again, this requirement is the company address, company name, address, and then the unsubscribe link. So we're going to first put in the company name. Now you'll notice that it says your company name. So if you inserted any of these other fields, it's going to come from the contact record it merged from. But since this field has the word your in front of it, that means it's going to come from your My Record. So you want to make sure your own record in ACT, and you can easily find it by going to look up My Record. It's going to pull this from your My Record in ACT. Okay. So again, company name and address is required. And if you didn't put this into the template, by the way, what would happen is when you tried to activate the campaign, it will give you a message that says, sorry, we can't do that. You need to add your company name and address. Okay, so it's not to be avoided. And this is again related to the spam compliance laws. So we've got that in there. And then the next thing we want to enter is the unsubscribe, which is a special link. So I click on special links, unsubscribe, click here to unsubscribe. There is a way to change what that says and where that goes, but the default is the Swift page service will just bring it to a page that says thank you for unsubscribing. But the default is just click here to unsubscribe. And then just so you know, with the service, if the email goes out and a recipient clicks on the unsubscribe, you will be able to see that they unsubscribe. There's a dashboard that you can see what's gone on with the emails. But also, if you kept them in your database and kept them in a group and sent them another email, the service will automatically suppress that and will not send them another email once they unsubscribe. Okay. All right. So we have this template here now. So now we want to go ahead and save it. And I do recommend saving often while you're building a template because there's nothing more frustrating than having to start again if you get interrupted. So we'll hit the save button. And then something you need to do that's not really intuitive is you also need to name the template and enter the subject line. If you look here on the top left, it has intro email and then in parentheses intro email. Those are defaults. The first section here is the name of the template, which is just for your benefit. And the second section in parentheses is the subject line of the email. So obviously we don't want that to say intro email. So what you need to do before we return and activate this is click on Actions and then Properties. And then here, so again, this is the name of the template that the recipient does not see. So I might say prospect number 1 email. So this is the first email. Or I could give a better description if you'd like. And then the subject, that is what the recipient will see. So this is, okay, pre-header not required, but this would be where it just shows up in their email inbox right next to the title. This would be bold, and it would just like it says, it's a pre-header. just something that shows up a little bit different in their email inbox. But once they open the email, they would just see the subject line. So this is used for if you're doing a sales campaign, you might do something like this, and then the actual, big news or, save now, right? So that's what that pre-header is for. So we'll go ahead and hit update. And then I'm going to click save again. Now you notice that did update that there for us. I'm going to hit save again. And then here I'm going to go to actions and hit return. So now I've created that first email, and this is where the name of the email comes into play, by the way, is when you're building a campaign, you want to make that name of the email something that means something to you, because then if you add other emails along the way, you can be very clear on what you want. So now we have our simple campaign, and we're going to send prospect email number 1. And then the only other thing we have to do to activate this is click on Actions and Activate. Once you do that, and we're going to go ahead and do this because I have that attached to my test group, you get one more validation chance before you activate it. And then you just click on Activate Campaign again. And now this campaign is active. So since this is an instant release, the email will go to the 2 people in my group instantly. Now that means, the longest I've ever seen it take is maybe like 10 minutes because it's waiting in line in the queue. But it will instantly release, and then you have created and sent your first campaign. I'm going to go ahead and hit return. So now I'm back to my campaigns area. The last thing I wanted to talk about here is you can look at the results of a campaign in a number of different ways. But one of the simplest ones is you go to the campaign and click on the little edit button, and then you click on actions and then select campaign dashboard. And that will show you it'll show you how many emails were sent, the open rate, how many were bounced or unsubscribed, and then you can get more details and actually even export the data if you want to do further analysis on it. So here you could export the data. So again, I did that kind of fast. If you want to look at the actual, open rate and those other kinds of stats on a campaign, you would just come to the campaign after it's activated, obviously, and click on the little pencil in the top right, which is the edit button. Click on actions and campaign dashboard. And that will show you, again, your stats, how many were sent, your open rate. You could export actually the names of the people that opened it, how many times they opened the email. And that's a very simplistic way to look at the results. Hopefully this was helpful. And as always, we are very happy to assist you. This is Donna Quisenberry, Q2 Database Consulting Services. Thank you and have a great day.